Germany has launched large-scale preparations for a potential conflict with Russia, which, according to experts, could have a more significant impact on the country than the war in Ukraine, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung reports. According to the agency, the German armed forces have begun to actively implement a strategic document called the Operation Germany Plan. The document of about 1,000 pages contains detailed instructions in case of military operations. It lists infrastructure facilities that are subject to special protection, as well as prescribes actions in defense and crisis. In the event of tensions on NATO's eastern flank, Germany will become a key center for the transfer of troops, military equipment, food, and medicine. Special attention was paid to the role of business. At the meeting in Hamburg, Lieutenant Colonel Jörn Plischke recommended that companies train their employees in skills that could be useful in a crisis, such as truck driving. Plischke stated that 70% of truck drivers in Germany are Eastern Europeans and suggested that they might simply not be in the country in the event of a war. The Bundeswehr is also urging companies to develop contingency plans, including ensuring autonomous power supply, for example, through diesel generators. Talks have already been held in Hamburg with representatives of trade, industry, and agriculture. Similar events are being organized across the country. The Third World War began in Ukraine in 2024, according to Ukrainian country's ambassador to the United Kingdom, Valery Zaluzhny. The former commander-in-chief of the armed forces pointed out that Russia is supported in its full-scale aggression by North Korea, Iran, and China. The diplomat shared his opinion during a speech at the UP 100 award ceremony. In 2024, we can assume that World War III has begun, he said. Zaluzhny explained that it is not just Russia that we are facing now. Ukraine is facing soldiers from North Korea. Let's be honest. Already in Ukraine, Iranian shaheeds are killing civilians quite openly, without hesitation. North Korean-made missiles are already flying into Ukraine, and they openly declare this. Chinese shells are being detonated in Ukraine, and Chinese parts are being used in Russian missiles, the ambassador listed. These facts give grounds to talk about a world war. The world must prepare for this, and the reaction of the Allies must be more decisive. We quote further, "What has been expected for so long has already begun. But I want to say that God Himself gives a chance, not only to Ukraine but to the whole world, to have time to draw the right conclusions now. It is still possible to stop it here, on the territory of Ukraine. But for some reason, our partners do not want to understand this. Ukraine already has too many enemies. Ukraine will survive with the help of technology, but it is not known whether it will be able to win this battle alone. So I believe that the world war has begun." Russia's use of a purported new ballistic missile will not change the course of the conflict or deter NATO allies from supporting Ukraine, NATO spokesperson Farah Dakhlala said. Dakhlala's comments came after Russian President Vladimir Putin said his country had launched its newest missile, an IRBM called Oreshnik, in an attack on Dnipro in eastern Ukraine earlier that day. The Russian attack on Dnipro on Thursday is yet another example of Russia's attacks on Ukrainian cities, Dakhlala said in comments. Putin said the attack was in response to Ukraine targeting facilities in Russian oblasts using Western-supplied long-range missiles. The U.S. President Joe Biden allowed Ukraine to use ATACMS missiles to strike deep into the territory of the Russian Federation. Ukraine launched ATACMS missiles for the first time in Russia's Bryansk Oblast, and it made its first use of UK-supplied Storm Shadow missiles. After depicting such a move as crossing another red line the Kremlin had drawn, Russian President Vladimir Putin previously said his country would respond. The head of the State Duma Defense Committee, Andrei Kartapolov, stated that Western countries should fear and tremble in response to Putin's announcement about the use of new Russian missiles. Let them fear and tremble. Our cause is just. Victory will be ours, Kartapolov emphasized. He added that the special operation in Ukraine will continue at its own pace until all objectives are achieved. This is quite a unique case where a terrorist openly admits to their state terrorism. The Kremlin raises the stakes. Putin stated that Russians have, for the first time, attacked Ukraine with the latest medium-range ballistic missile, Oreshnik. Nuclear blackmail is nothing new for the Kremlin, but how will the West respond to this? Does it mean that the war will escalate to an entirely new level? This was a new type of strike. Military expert Alexander Kovalenko explained in a comment to Nexta. The expert also did not rule out the possibility that North Korea could supply Russia with its ballistic missiles.
In general, regarding the nature of the strikes, yes, it can be said that this was a new type of strike. It is a maneuverable warhead, which could also correspond to this type of ICBM, but it could be a completely different type of missile. For example, these could be Iranian ballistic missiles, such as the Zolfagar missile, which has a separable warhead from the booster stage. Whether the warhead itself separates is still not fully known today. It could be any other missile of this type, possibly of Russian production, or it could be a North Korean intercontinental ballistic missile with a separable warhead. Again, given that Russia has already used North Korean KN-23 ballistic missiles of operational tactical range, there's nothing preventing North Korea from supplying Putin with intercontinental ballistic missiles in a certain quantity.
The UK government is exploring the possibility of repurposing decommissioned military equipment for use by Ukraine, Defense Secretary John Healey revealed in Parliament. Responding to questions from Defense Committee Chair Tanmanjeet Singh Desi, Healey stated that no final decisions have yet been made regarding the retired assets. Addressing the Commons, Healey emphasized that the recent retirement of aging platforms, including HMS Northumberland and the Watchkeeper drones, was necessary to modernize the UK's armed forces. The decisions I have taken help us to get a grip of the MOD budget now and create greater scope to better implement the Strategic Defense Review when it reports, he explained. Dacey welcomed the announcement of overdue reforms, but questioned the potential for transferring decommissioned equipment to allies or Ukraine. First, will the unrequired kit be either sold to allies or given to Ukraine? Secondly, how will our people be reskilled and retrained so that there are no job losses, he asked. Healey assured Parliament that personnel would be retrained or redeployed, with no job losses expected. On the future of the retired equipment, he said, "Further decisions about what to do with the decommissioned equipment have not yet been made, but when I make those decisions, I will ensure that I inform my Hanmi Friends Committee." Healey also took the opportunity to reiterate the government's commitment to addressing long-standing financial pressures in defense, noting that difficult decisions were required to ensure the armed forces remain ready for future challenges.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. He's doing the job every day.